Before the empire, there was chaos. The mobile phone world was cluttered, fragmented, clunky. Every brand fought for dominance, but no one had the key. Until they did. This is the story of how Apple didn't just enter the cell phone industry. They took it, controlled it, reshaped it into their image, and never looked back. The year is 2006. The biggest players in mobile tech are Nokia, Motorola, and BlackBerry. They dominate boardrooms, pocket real estate, and consumer trust. But their designs were evolutionary, not revolutionary. Smartphones weren't smart. They were awkward, confusing, corporate. Meanwhile, across Silicon Valley, a storm was brewing. Steve Jobs, a perfectionist, a visionary, a tyrant to some, a prophet to others. He had already reinvented music with the iPod. He'd already made computers beautiful with the iMac. But now he had his eyes set on the next frontier, phones.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
People laughed. They doubted. They said Apple knew nothing about mobile networks or phones. They were right. But they forgot one thing. Apple never needed to know the industry. They were about to rewrite it. The Moscone Center, San Francisco. The crowd waited, anticipated. Jobs doesn't just introduce a product. He introduces a revolution. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. Not three devices. One. It was elegance, simplicity, power. The world's first multi-touch smartphone with a full web browser and no physical buttons. Just glass. Competitors gasped. Customers gawked. And Apple smiled. 2007, the iPhone launches. It's expensive, exclusive, AT&T only. Critics are skeptical, but something shifts. The iPhone becomes status. Lines stretch around corners. Stores sell out in hours. And people begin to dream in iOS. Google panics. BlackBerry doubles down. Nokia hesitates. Apple just updates. iPhone 3G, then 3GS, then iPhone 4 with the Retina display. Each launch, a cultural event. Each update, a warning shot. Apple wasn't just selling phones. They were building a trap. A beautiful, seamless, digital trap. iTunes, App Store, iCloud, iMessage, FaceTime. The deeper you went, the harder it was to leave. Switching became painful, unthinkable. And that's when Apple struck gold. They weren't fighting phone makers anymore. They were building a walled garden. And inside, only Apple bloomed. By 2012, the mobile battlefield was littered with corpses. BlackBerry crumbled. Nokia bought for scraps. Motorola dismantled and sold. The old kings were dethroned, while Apple's throne grew taller. Samsung rose as a challenger, yes, but Apple had something more powerful than specs: culture. To own an iPhone wasn't just to own a device, it was to belong. Apple knew how to sell a dream. Their commercials weren't about processors or RAM. They were about you, your moments, your memories, your life in your pocket. Clean backgrounds, emotional music, and the tagline that said it all: shot on iPhone. They weren't selling you a phone. They were selling you, but better. Critics began to whisper. Was Apple still innovating, or just iterating? No headphone jack, dongles everywhere, locked ecosystems, high prices. But Apple wasn't worried, because their control was complete. They didn't chase trends. They dictated them. When Apple removes a feature, everyone follows. When Apple releases a new design, others imitate. They stopped competing in the market. They started leading it. Apple becomes the first US company to hit $1 trillion, then $2 trillion, then $3 trillion. iPhones are their golden goose, bringing in more than half their revenue. There are now more iPhones in circulation than cars on the road in America. They've sold over 2.5 billion of them. In some countries, the iPhone is more valuable than the national currency. Apple didn't just win the phone war. They redefined the economy. 2025, Apple controls hardware, software, retail, chips, payments, subscriptions, ads. Every tap you make, every call, every swipe, every payment. You're not just using a phone. You're feeding the ecosystem, fueling the empire. And now with AI, AR, and wearable tech, they're setting the stage for the next revolution. And guess what? They'll control that, too. What started as a phone became a throne. A $1,000 rectangle in your hand became a passport into a kingdom. They didn't just change the way we call, they changed the way we live. Every day, billions look down at a glowing screen and see Apple's vision staring back. They didn't take over the phone industry.
They became it.